Hello fellow humans, welcome to How and Why. On this channel we try to decode how and why things work. In this episode we are going to look at how and why an airplane flies. How does it stay in the air? And what is the physics behind keeping this giant cylindrical tube 30,000 feet in the sky? But before that, if you are interested in knowing how and why the world works, consider subscribing and pressing the bell button to receive short clips of enlightenment. Yes, we keep our videos short and to the point. And while you're at it, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and leave a comment below on what topic you need explored next. Coming back to today's topic, how does an airplane fly? What keeps it in air? The answer to this lies in the shape of its wings. It's the design of the wings that ultimately results in the forces required for an airplane to lift off the ground. In this video, we'll be looking at the basics of flight. The cross-sectional design of a plane's wing is called an airfoil. This shape provides the aerodynamic forces necessary for a plane to lift off the ground. We'll now look at how this design helps in flight. Imagine yourself sitting in an airplane ready to take off. As the pilot increases the throttle, the plane races ahead on the tarmac. As the plane moves forward, air is brushing against the plane. How this air interacts with the plane plays a very vital role. How the air bounces off the wings of the plane is what decides if the plane can take off and at what speed the plane can take off. We will now examine closely how this air interacts with the cross-section of a wing. This diagram represents how the air interacts with the cross-section of a wing when the airplane is rushing down the runway. If you look closely, you can notice that the air molecules interacting with the wing are pushed to a slightly downward trajectory. As Newton's third law of motion states, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So naturally, a force would be acting in the opposite direction. But this alone is not enough to lift the aircraft. Generally speaking, there are four forces acting on a plane, namely thrust. Thrust is the force that moves the airplane in the desired direction and is usually created using a propeller, a jet engine, or a rocket engine. Drag. Drag is the force that acts in the opposite direction of motion and is caused by friction and differences in air pressure. Weight. Weight is the force caused by gravity. And finally, lift. Lift is the force generated mostly by the wings of the aircraft, and this is what holds the aircraft in the air. Now, how does the wings produce lift? You would have heard the common explanation that air moves faster on the top and slower on the bottom, and this causes a difference in pressure, causing lift. Well, this is not entirely right. In order to keep the video short, I've linked below articles explaining why this explanation is not entirely correct. If you want me to make a detailed video on this, I'm happy to do so. Please let me know in the comments. Now we'll look at what is the correct explanation. As a curved airfoil wing flies through the sky, it deflects the air, causing a change in air pressure above and below it. As air moves over the curved upper surface, it is naturally inclined to continue its motion in a straight line. But the curve of the wing pulls it around and back down. For this reason, the air is stretched out into a bigger volume. This is due to an effect called the Coanda effect. The Coanda effect is the tendency of a fluid jet to get attached to convex surfaces. This video explains how the Coanda effect works. You can see that the streams near the surface of the object cling onto it. Now, as I mentioned before, due to the shape of the airfoil, the air molecules on top are stretched out. That means fewer number of air molecules will occupy the same area compared to the number of molecules below the airfoil. This difference in molecules create a high pressure area on the bottom and a low pressure area on the top. This creates an upward suction effect that ultimately results in lift. Also, due to the Coanda effect, the air molecules tend to follow the curve of the airfoil and hence are ejected in a downward trajectory, adding to the lifting force. This force is directly proportional to the speed of the plane, and is the reason why planes must attain very high ground speeds in order to lift off. Finally, when the total lift produced by the plane exceeds the weight acting on the plane, it will be able to take off safely, along with you and your belongings. So in conclusion, the motion of the plane is governed by 4 basic forces. When the lift is greater than weight, the plane rises. When the weight is greater than lift, the plane falls. When the drag is greater than thrust, the plane slows. And when the thrust is greater than drag, the plane accelerates. By manipulating these 4 forces, the plane is able to stay in the air. Well, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and consider subscribing to How and Why. We try to simplify how the world works. And please do leave a comment on what topic you need explored next. Thank you for watching.